Society Matters.
Hello and welcome to HMTV. I'm your host, Bernie Furshpan of Ordinary Heroes, right here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County. It's great to have you back with us. I have a very special guest who runs an incredible organization that educates the educator. And I want to learn more about this organization called TOLI. I have with me the executive director, Deborah Lauter. And how long have you been the executive director of TOLI?
So first, it's a pleasure to meet you, Bernie, and to be at the HMTC. I've been the executive director of the Olga Lengyel Institute for Holocaust Studies and Human Rights for just about 3 years now. And do you find that it is an effective program for teachers? Well, it's been an amazing program. As you said, we focus solely on providing professional development to educators. We have a program here in the United States. We run seminars during the summer, keep them small, with a specific pedagogy of how we feel it's most effective to impact these teachers. So we're thrilled to be at HMTC with a regional program for New York educators, primarily from Long Island. And at the same time, we're running here a program called our Leadership Institute for Advanced Holocaust Studies. And we have teachers here from across the United States, as well as Holocaust Center and museum professionals.
On behalf of this center, we are thrilled to facilitate and host this program of yours. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see this activity, this amount of activity in the dead of summer, basically. It's wonderful. We do have people coming through to see the museum exhibits, but to have programs like this is during the summer is rare, but it's just a wonderful thing, and we hope this continues.
Yeah. As I said, our program's unique, so it usually runs 4 to 5 days long. So really, summer is when we can capture that teacher audience. I will mention also that we have become one of the leading providers of professional development for educators throughout Europe.
Is that right?
Yeah, so we are in 14 countries right now.
And with different languages, or is it all in English?
It's in their languages. So Romania, Lithuania, Albania,
this is a bigger
Italy.
Organization than I thought it was.
Yeah, no, we've been having amazing impact, and we're about to start a new program in Mexico City. So we're very excited about that as well.
This is great.
Yeah. It's been very rewarding work.
You guys are the front line of this type of programming.
I think so. I mean, and it's helpful for us, and for me particularly, to sit in on these seminars and to really hear from the teachers themselves what they're facing, what the challenges are, the impact they're making.
Right. These are challenging times.
These are very challenging times.
And teachers need more resources, more ammunition to handle the situation as it is right now.
You are absolutely right. They not only need the resources, what I'm hearing is they need this kind of support. So I mentioned we keep our seminars small, but part of it is because we want them to really bond as a community of support. And then TOLI stays in touch with them throughout the year. We provide them with continuing education, but we also any kind of mentoring, and just when they're having a challenge, who can they call?
What kind of feedback are you getting about the level of camaraderie from other teachers?
It's been amazing.
They feel like they're not alone.
Exactly.
Fighting the good fight, basically.
Right, and then they get best practice ideas from other educators who are doing this hard work.
And it's not a fight that they're fighting the good fight, but it's for the greater good that they're trying to educate young people.
Right. Well, as you well know, this is challenging material.
It is,
and it has to be done right.
How have you pivoted since October 7th?
So what we've done is we've now incorporated into, so I should mention, besides a specific pedagogy of it's inquiry-based learning, it's reflective writing, but it's also, we have always included Jewish life before and after the Holocaust. And most of our seminars, we take the educators to a synagogue. They meet with a rabbi, they sit through Shabbat services, and we have a Shabbat dinner. So for most of our teachers are not Jewish, and it's the first time they've had that kind of experience getting to know Jews. Since October 7th, we have incorporated in all our programs lessons on contemporary anti-Semitism, as well as we're going to have whole sessions on Holocaust distortion, which is a new phenomenon we're very worried about. And we are very fortunate. We just had join our board of directors Dr. Catherine Meyer. She was head of the IRA, the International Holocaust Resource Association, for the past 17 years. She served as Secretary General, and she's joined our board now and is an expert on Holocaust distortion. So our facilitators, our participants are going to have probably one of the best exposures to this subject. So we're keeping contemporary with the times, but we've always been kind of ahead, I think, of where Holocaust education has been in terms of recognizing that you have to provide these teachers with context of who are the Jews.
Correct.
And what kind of life we had, so that their students don't just see Jews as victims, which is unfortunately what has happened over the years.
How are the programs in Europe pivoting as well?
Same. It's fascinating in Europe because many of these teachers are from areas that they have no idea what happened in their own backyards. So we'll take them to killing sites, and we'll take them, and then we give, we call them impact grants.
They have an advantage that way.
They do, because they're on the
here.
ground, and we give them these impact grants. They have to apply for them. It's somewhat competitive. It's been enormously popular because they take those grants and they create not only classroom projects, but community projects. So some of their students will go and research the history of the Jews who were in their communities and then put on displays. It's been an amazing. We're having huge impact in Europe right now. So we're very proud of that as well.
I met some of your teachers. I think they come from all parts of the Northeast. Any of them come from the other side of this country, from the West Coast?
Oh, yeah. No, we have teachers here from Idaho.
Oh, really?
Montana, Kentucky.
Fabulous.
We've put a lot of emphasis on doing programming for teachers in areas that are generally under-resourced with Holocaust education. So yeah, we finished up a program in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We just ran one in Kentucky. We had one in Louisiana, one in Virginia.
When did this organization actually begin? I mean, how old is it, and how did Olga Lengyel, in what way did she contribute to this organization?
Right. So Olga Lengyel was a survivor of Auschwitz,
right?
And she wrote a book called The Five Chimneys,
which is right here.
Yeah, and it was actually one of the first accounts of the horrors of Auschwitz. She published it first in French, 1946, and then in English, it came out about 47, 48. Obviously, she survived. She ended up in New York City, and our offices today are actually in her home, her previous home.
Oh, really?
We're on East 79th Street in this beautiful mansion. So our offices are extremely beautiful, and the dining table, we call it Olga's table, and that's where many of our teacher seminars are held because we can seat 30 people around that dining table, so you can imagine. She was committed to Holocaust education, and she started a foundation, a private foundation called the Memorial Foundation to the Second World War. And as the organization started taking root, TOLI, the Olga Lengyel Institute, was born in her memory to carry on her legacy. And so that's what we've done. We've carried it on in a very profound way.
She not only wrote a book, but was she also a teacher? Did she become a teacher?
No, she was not. She actually, career-wise, she was she helped her husband, who was a physician, as a medical assistant.
I see.
And it's part of her profound story because the Nazis came and asked him to serve as a physician, and she said, well, he can't go alone. I will go with him, and we'll bring our family. And it ended up with a tragic ending. The part of the story, William Styron, as you may recall, who wrote Sophie's Choice, read her book and was profoundly impacted by it, and he said it helped inform the book Sophie's Choice, because she had to make very difficult decisions that ended up in tragic circumstances.
So what do you hope to accomplish this week?
So two things. So as I mentioned, we're running 2 simultaneous programs. For the Long Island teachers. We really focus on pedagogy, like how to teach.
Is that the smaller or the larger group?
That's the smaller group that's up right now. we show them, what we find, Bernie, is that some teachers have no idea what resources are out there on the Holocaust. Others are so overwhelmed by what's out there. I think the Jewish community has done a really excellent job of providing resources, whether from USHMM, from Echoes and Reflections. There's just a lot out there, and teachers don't know how to navigate it. So
it can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming. So that's why we try to show them how to do this right, how to think about their own identities. Why are they doing this work? Why do they become teachers? What is their responsibility in a democracy? And many of our programs also combine other human rights issues. So the primary focus is on the Holocaust and now obviously anti-Semitism, but we also incorporate other histories. So
other genocides?
Other genocides. A speaker today will be talking about Rwanda genocide. In Montana, for example, we focus on indigenous people. In our Seattle program, we focused on Japanese internment. In the South, we focus on the history of enslavement of the Black community and the history of racism in the country. So it helps teachers not make comparisons, but look at parallels. How does hate take hold?
Right.
What factors lead to it?
Right.
How does propaganda feed into it? All these themes that they can make real for today's students and make it relevant for them.
There seems to be patterns that you can see with all genocides. In fact, I had to give a presentation at a college about genocides since the Holocaust. And it was a rude awakening to calculate, to add up all the genocides together, that over 50 million people have been killed in genocides since the Holocaust, which is shocking because, obviously the Holocaust was the darkest of all chapters, and we use that as an example because this is how low we can descend, where we kill masses of people on an industrial scale, which was the most horrific, and the way in which they did it was atrocious. But since then, genocides, continue to happen in every continent. And it's kind of discouraging, but you can't give up the fight, right? And education is key, without question. There's laws to deter people, but there's also education, to educate the youth, to create a new generation of empathetic thinkers, right?
You're absolutely right. So by training, I'm a lawyer, and most of my career was as a civil rights lawyer at the Anti-Defamation League. And I used to say, how do you fight hate, right? There's not one way to do it. You can do it through legislation, you can do it through litigation, and you can do it through education.
Right.
And 3 decades into this career, serving in the Jewish community, I've come to the conclusion that education is the most important.
It is, because that's how hate is fostered, through a form of education called propaganda, right? False education, fake information. So it's really doing the same thing of just, counteracting, but with facts.
Right. And it's a much more difficult problem now because the way it travels.
The way it travels, it took Hitler 12 years, right, to get his message out there, to be voted into the parliament. His party today can take minutes through social media.
You're right.
Where people can be manipulated, lied to.
Right. But I'll tell you, being with these teachers over these last days, this is what gives me hope.
It inspires you, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And we should always have hope. We should never give up.
Right.
It's something that we here at the center, feel very hopeful that the young generation that come through, we do over 30,000.
That's amazing.
Young people a year, and we are hopeful that what we're doing is impactful. And we've gotten so much good feedback by principals and superintendents and teachers and educators that it is working. And hopefully it will continue, we will continue to fight this good fight, basically, through education.
I always think about Hillel, and the teaching of you're not obligated to finish the work of perfecting the world, but neither can you desist from it. And that's what guides me.
We can never give up. Absolutely.
We can't give up. We're going to make a difference, a positive difference in this world. So we're very, very proud to be partners with HMTC this week and hopefully going forward.
Same here. By the way, do you have any family that were impacted by the Holocaust?
Most of my family was from Lodz and Kielce.
Okay.
And I didn't know until I was an adult the extent of what happened to my family, and I put in the family name into the Yad Vashem database, and 181 names came up of murdered, and so it made it real for me. But
on my mother's side, she came from Kutno, which was right outside of Lodz.
Right.
So she experienced something similar, but they did flee. They fled to Russia when the Germans crossed the border.
Right.
But Lodz, we have an exhibit here, that has photographs.
And every time I went by, I looked like, I wonder if any of them were my relatives.
Yeah, of course, you never know. It's so true. I'm so grateful that you're here with your educators. And
thank you for hosting us. Really, it's an extraordinary museum. So we're pleased to be here, and we really thank you. The board of HMTC, and the staff here has been just amazing in making us feel really welcome, and all the logistic things that need to happen to host a lot of people. They've done very well. So particular thanks to Donna for all the help she did.
Thank you. And we have a great staff here, and I'm glad that you guys figured it all out. And I want to thank my guest, Deborah Lauter of the TOLI. It's actually TOLI, or the
Olga
Lengyel Institute. And thank you for joining us today on HMTV. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Furshpan, on Ordinary Heroes. Until next time.